Michael Jordan didn't even let the interviewer finish. He cut him off, right in the middle of his sentence, and shut Rich Paul down for that disrespectful comment.
About him.
Tell him to stay in his lane. Agents don't get rings.
But here's where it gets even worse. Wade, one of LeBron's most important teammates ever, came out and said something that could actually damage LeBron's entire legacy. So why did MJ react like this? It all goes back to Rich Paul, sitting in front of a microphone on his own podcast, thinking nobody would catch on to what he was doing. When he launched his Game Over podcast with Max Kellerman, people expected some bias. Fair enough. But nobody expected him to casually try to wipe out Michael Jordan's legacy on a random Tuesday. He looked dead into the camera and said it straight up. If you pull Scottie Pippen off that team, Jordan goes 0 for 6.
If you unplug Scottie Pippen off that team,
Sure.
Jordan's 0 for 6.
Sure,
Could be.
Who knows? He did not say Jordan would have fewer rings or that the finals would just be a little tougher. He said,
who
knows? He did not say Jordan would have fewer rings or that the finals would just be a little tougher.
He didn't say Jordan would have fewer rings. He didn't say the finals would just be tougher. He said 0. As in a total wipeout. As in Michael Jordan would basically be Tracy McGrady with a shoe deal if Scottie Pippen never showed up to save his career. And he didn't stop there. He went even further, claiming Pippen was the most impactful player on that team.
Yeah, but he was the most impactful player on the team.
I get it.
The nerve it takes to say that out loud, while managing someone who's basically built his entire life and career around chasing Jordan's throne, is honestly kind of hilarious. But it gets so much worse when you realize this wasn't some random heated moment. This was calculated. A planned move on a platform he owns, using his media mic to control the narrative. Right after trying to shrink Jordan's records, Paul pivoted straight into his classic argument, boldly declaring that LeBron James is the greatest player of all time.
Are just the same as Michael Jordan's wife.
He even dropped this slick little line, claiming only in basketball do you freeze history. You can see the manipulation working in real time. That phrase was designed to make Jordan's 6 championships look like dusty old relics, while forcing everyone to accept that LeBron's longevity is the only stat that matters now. He's literally trying to rewrite the rules of greatness, just to favor his own client. But here's the part nobody saw coming, especially from a guy who makes his living navigating front office politics. Paul actually tried to use Jordan's loyalty against him. He argued Jordan only succeeded because of the players around him, and because he never had to leave Chicago. He's trying to frame staying with your team, facing the pressure, and fighting through a toxic front office as some kind of weakness. Well, right? Staying loyal used to be the ultimate badge of honor. Now this whole media machine wants you to believe it just means you avoided drama. Rich Paul wants everyone to think Scottie Pippen was the real engine behind that dynasty. But he conveniently forgot history already recorded what happened before Scottie even put on a Bulls jersey. And here's the part that wrecks his whole argument. When you look at the years Jordan played completely on his own, the numbers are so disrespectful they make Rich Paul's case fall apart instantly. He wants us to believe Pippen was holding Jordan's hand from day one. Funny, because Scottie was still playing at tiny Central Arkansas while Jordan was already terrorizing grown men in the NBA. Total respect to Pippen, the man's a legend, but Jordan played 3 full seasons before Pippen ever touched a basketball in Chicago. And what Jordan did in that stretch breaks everything LeBron and his agent are trying to build. During the 1986-87 season, Jordan went on an absolute tear. He averaged 37 points a game. He became the first player since Wilt Chamberlain to score 3,000 points in a single season, back when the game moved at a totally different pace. And get this, his best teammates were Charles Oakley and John Paxson. That's it. Teams would stack 3 or 4 defenders in the paint because they knew nobody else on the floor could hurt them.
Threaten them. And Jordan still scored 40 or more points on 37 different occasions that year.
And Jordan still dropped 40 or more points 37 different times that season, including a stretch where he casually hit 40+ in 9 straight games. And here's the kicker. The very next season, 1987-88, before Bulls management could even put together a decent roster, Jordan pulled off something that's never been duplicated in NBA history. He won the scoring title, the regular season MVP, and Defensive Player of the Year, all in the same season.
Six-time NBA champion and five-time league.
Six-time NBA champion. Five-time league MVP. Michael Jordan was, at the exact same time, the most unstoppable offensive player on earth and the most terrifying defender, while carrying a massive scoring load. Rich Paul wants to pretend Jordan was handed the perfect situation, conveniently skipping over 1988, 1989, and 1990, when Jordan was getting physically beaten up by the Detroit Pistons. Chuck Daly literally invented the Jordan rules, a rulebook built to injure him, to throw him to the floor every single time he drove the lane. Dennis Rodman, Bill Laimbeer, Rick Mahorn, they were clotheslining him in midair. Jordan himself said later they beat the trash out of him, and that the hate from those years still carries over to this day.
Every day. But here is the crazy part. Jordan did not run to the media. He did not
Jordan didn't run to the media. He didn't demand a trade. He didn't call up his superstar friends to go form a super team somewhere with better weather. He stayed right there in the gym, packed on 15 pounds of pure muscle just to absorb the hits, and came back year after year, until he finally swept those bad boys right into retirement. So this whole narrative, that Jordan was just a product of great team building, is a fairy tale, designed to protect LeBron James from his own history of switching teams the moment things got rocky. And here's where this whole debate hits its boiling point. The second you flip Rich Paul's own logic back onto his inner circle, his entire defense of LeBron's championships falls apart.
But here is the crazy part. Detonates. You cannot make this up. But it gets so much worse for the clutch sports narrative the moment you look over at what happened in Cleveland during the 2016 championship run. Stephen A. Smith said it perfectly on national television when he declared that LeBron James couldn't have won that championship without Kyrie Irving, which is a cold hard fact that Rich Paul will conveniently bury under the rug every single time he...
If we're playing by this new rulebook, where a superstar gets zero credit for winning a ring because he had an elite co-star, then we need to talk about how LeBron literally ran from his hometown just to ride the coattails of a guy who already knew how to win. Before the decision happened in the summer of 2010, LeBron put on one of the most confusing performances in modern basketball history. Game 5 of the Eastern Conference semifinals against Boston. Cleveland was the number 1 seed, playing on their own floor. And LeBron scored just 15 points, shooting 3 for 14. While his team got blown out by 32. Everyone in that building, everyone watching at home, could see he had checked out mentally, because he was already planning his nationally televised escape to Miami. He didn't draft his help. He didn't stay and build a culture. He held an hour-long TV special just to announce he was packing his bags to go join Wade. Now compare that to Scottie Pippen, who came to Chicago as a raw rookie through the draft. Wade wasn't some young piece management brought in to support LeBron. He was already a franchise player. He already had a championship and a finals MVP. Back in 2006, before LeBron even knew what the finals felt like. LeBron didn't build a powerhouse. He joined one that already existed. And he admitted it himself, years later, on camera, without Wade he wouldn't have the resume he has today. So Rich Paul wants to talk about Jordan having help? Jordan never had to watch his co-star win a finals MVP before he did. And Jordan definitely never needed his co-star to teach him how to stop collapsing under the lights, the way Wade had to do for LeBron after that historic meltdown against Dallas in 2011.